You can see all the stuff that we are using now, for example, GitHub. So in my company, I use like Slack. We have Slack channel. We use GitHub for sharing code. So what we are using now, it's like the professional tools.
It's up now.
It's up? Nice. What?
In the future, can we take some little bit of that tutorial or reference for HTML canvas?
Here you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Really, you should discuss that with Christopher.
Yeah, it could be able to do it because it's nice thing for if you're doing some kind of.
Yeah, it's really essential, like in HTML5 APIs. Yeah, definitely. So let's start. This is the app. We talked about that before. We have app here. Rendering to-do list container. This is not good. Probably we should split components. So if we want to reuse them and stuff. Okay. So it's better if we split to-do list container to other like kind of multiple components. We have to-do list container, we have this component. The first thing I'm gonna say here, I talked about presentational and container component. What I mean by that, it's like some components are really meant to render stuff, to show stuff, and some other components, they are kind of logic components. They have logic, they own logic. Okay, this is really important like thing in React. Let's say here, you have, for example, how to render the data, rendering the to-do list. You want to render it in an li with style, or you want to render it like as div. So this is rendering, this is like presentation. We call this presentational components that are responsible for rendering data. And we have containers component. What container component mean? It's a component that hosts data. For example, how to update the to-do, which endpoint to fetch, this kind of stuff. So you should separate them. Because often, for example, in a company or something, let's say Facebook, they are changing the UI every time. But the logic is not really changing. The post is the same. How you comment stuff, they are adding stuff. So if you separate the logic from the presentation, it will be a lot of like easier to maintain and to add stuff. That's really important if you can do that. Here you can see he's like having here all the stuff, adding data, everything, and also rendering. Div, h1, div. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
The component is more complex. If I need to edit, for example, I want to edit just the title, and I'm not the developer responsible for this component, I'll be reading the whole component just to change the title, because I don't know this is the title or the text or something. So it's really important to separate components. So for example, we have like the logic component here, and we will have one component called, let's name this to-do list container. He's already using names, camel case.
Mm-hmm.
To-do list with capital letter, container with capital. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a component here called to-do list container, and with a lot of logic. So here, if we create a new component called to-do list without container, just to-do list, like here,
mm-hmm.
we can name this to-do list like renderer or to-do list items, something like that. We can change the name here.
So you would just take all of it and say you take one container.
Precisely. So
one column.
yeah. So if tomorrow I want to change the structure, how I want to display the to-do items, I don't need to go into a component and read how I fetch the data, because it's not really related. Okay, that's
because what I wanted to do was just to take the div after to do.
Yeah.
And put it in one component, and the div after the HR line and put it in another component.
Okay.
But what you're saying is you take one more step back and take all of it.
Exactly.
And then after that.
Exactly. Every time you should have like every component has kind of two names. the component name container and the component name container component name. That's really good, and it's really important, especially in real life, and especially if you will do interviews and stuff. They will really focus on that. Like all the React interviews that I did or I had or something, they really like focus on container because it will kind of help the code get better or worse in the future. That's really important. Yes.
I'll have to leave now.
Yeah, no.
Well, thanks, and very nice to meet you all.
Yes.
There's
Nice
one small thing I forgot to say, and I really thought about when you should share your code. It's like it's really important that if you make something, it's probably not perfect. You make mistakes. The thing is that if you do that and you show like you're vulnerable, because like, all people are looking at your code and you can tell you made some mistakes in that. But like if you do that, I think you are so much better coder today than you were yesterday.
I know.
No. Than yesterday, because you actually get a lot of feedback on your work, right? And that's how you grow. If you dare to show your mistakes, and then you learn from them. But if you don't dare to show your mistakes, or you're like, oh, I didn't do it, or it wasn't perfect, so I'm not going to share it, then you will not grow. So I think today you grew.
Precisely, you will get a lot of feedback. Like you cannot get all this feedback without showing code.
Yeah. So that I want to give you all, and maybe also you like share as much as you can, get as much feedback you can. That's how you get that.
Precisely.
Yeah, but once again, really nice to meet you all.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
If I can help with anything, I don't know, I'll be there. Great.
Okay, thank you. Let's get back. What? Okay.
No offense.
So here we have like rendering and stuff. Let's go up. So you got the idea behind container presentational component. So for example, all the props that I need here, I could just like create another component called like presentational component or something and pass it all the props that it needs. For example, update text, like this to do text and stuff like that.
But you still render. You just render the component.
You just render one or two components, but these components will be responsible for what to display and not this component, because this component is responsible on how, on what to display. It's not the responsibility of this component. This component is solving how I can get the data, how I can structure the data, but not how to display the data or what to display. Okay, that's really important. We have like binding here, binding. We have state. We have to do, as I said before, if you don't like the format of the API, this is how we work in my company or in every company. In Facebook, if the developer doesn't like the API, he will say to the backend developer, I don't like the API that you are giving me in the front end. Can we discuss that? And they will have a meeting and they will discuss that and they will make a conclusion about which is the best API. They will debate. This is the best, no, this is the best. And we do that, every company does that. Okay? That's really important. So you can just like open an issue. I found it, just do that. Even if you will say, oh, you don't know anything, go away. That is still good.
Yeah,
Because
but still, in the end, I think it was a good practice, because if I just did what we learned last time, I wouldn't have learned.
Precisely. I completely understand. I'm just trying to kind of find the approach. So we have like to do text here, and you remember he has like two inputs, one for date and one for text. Here he has the text, but he should also put the date here. And we use the onChange and the value to control the date, like the input text. You remember that? Controlled component, controlled input, controlled form. We have the update text to do text here. He's not really using the API to update that, and he doesn't have the functionality for updating text. He didn't show you that. That's okay. We will skip it. Update to do item. Do not work.
This is the checkbox.
Okay, but it's working now.
Yes, working now.
Okay. No worries.
No
worries. So update to do, he's calling this function here. Update to do, and inside this component, when you click the checkbox, there is like, I can show it to you. To do this, yeah. Here he's calling like the, so it's to do, this one. Here when the checkbox changed, he's calling the update to do item, update to do item, passing it the to do ID. He will say all to do, this dot state dot to do's to do ID. He will just get the to do. He will change the value. He will get the whole list from the state. He got here the just one item from the state. And here he will fetch and update JSON stringify. He will update just one to do. Okay, he's constructing a new URL because if you see the API, there is to do and you need to pass the like a parameter here on which to do to update. Clear or not?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, but we can use instead of ID name or
You can use what?
instead of ID.
Yes.
to ID.
Yes.
We can change our index also as a name.
No.
No,
You know why?
doesn't exist in that. Yeah.
Precisely. So if I will see GitHub. Is it this one? Yes.
The one that does.
Okay, it's this one.
Yeah.
Just need. So here, if you see like the to-do ID, here, if you see the data model, the to-do ID is an ID. So if you do like this, it's like an ID. So it's like generated by the database and not the for loop ID. Okay, it's like special ID. So we fetch, we post, we patch, we patch. We just send the body. We do header, content type application JSON. So why we are using this? Because when we communicate with APIs or servers in general, HTTP servers, there is a lot of content. For example, the server could send me a JSON file, could send me an HTML file, a text file, a PDF, anything, file download, a video, streaming. So the server can send a lot of format or a lot of types. Here I'm specifying that the content type, the type of the content that I want the server to that I'm communicating with to be is application/JSON. Application/JSON means like JSON. If you want XML, you say application/XML. So this is like you are fixing. I want to communicate with you in this because there is like servers where they are kind of dynamic. So if you specify here another format, for example, you have a server. For example, let's say you are building kind of customer or like supermarket or something like software. And if you want to kind of fetch data and you say here application PDF, they will send you the PDF of the kind of the PDF of the data and like the data inside the PDF instead of the data JSON. You got the idea? So this is like negotiating like the type or the content format.
So this instead of JSON, you can use HTTP,
No,
PDF.
no. If you see like
You can use that XML.
content, so, but they are all HTTP.
Mm-hmm.
There is audio, application octet stream, video, application XBib, text, CSV, text, CSV, image, GIF, text, HTML, image, X icon, text, calendar, image, JPEG. So there is a lot of like application JSON for JSON. So you just see here, if you want to send HTML, the content type will be text HTML. If you want to send JavaScript, it's application choice JavaScript. If you want to say, for example, an MP3 file, let's say an audio file,
The first one was fine. And
Let's say PDF because MP3 it's different.
Mhm.
Let's say PDF, it's application/PDF, just the content type. Okay. Yes. So this is why we need that. Yeah.
Another thing I didn't have time to do, but that's also important. And fetch has a URL which is used in the other places to when there are to-do item, to delete, to add to. I should have moved that one up constant
Yeah. Precisely. That will be better.
because it becomes a reuse.
Exactly.
So if they change something from the back end, I'll just have to change one place
Yeah.
instead of changing all
Yeah.
three.
For example, Facebook, they have their servers. They have a lot of data. They fetch comments. They fetch posts. They fetch pictures. They fetch videos, streamings, users, profiles, friends. But they are all hosted in Facebook. Imagine on every place they will say www.facebook.com/API/comments. That will be too much. If they will change, for example, the domain name or something, they need to go through like thousands of places. So if you do it as a constant,
Mhm.
this like refactor this to a constant. So you do like this. You do like const your URL, and you do this. And every time you need URL, you say fetch. You do like, for example, template strings. You do like URL slash, let's say create, or slash
Use
Mm.
to do ID. And if you want to change the URL, just go to one place and you change it instead of changing it everywhere. That's important. This is called dry,
yeah, don't repeat yourself.
precisely dry.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Don't repeat yourself.
Yeah.
If you have code, this is why they created functions. We have a lot of repetitive code. We create one function, we put the code inside it, and we call it everywhere. When we need to change something, we just go to inside the function and we change it, instead of changing the code everywhere. Okay? So now, he's doing this. One thing, let's say here he's updating the to-do inside the server, and setting state to reflect the new to-dos. Okay? But he has a list. He get one item. He update the item in the server. But he's not fetching the item again. The same item that he updated, he just put it inside the list or place it inside the list. You got me? He's updating the item inside the server, but he has a copy inside the client.
Yeah.
And he just updates the client inside set state.
Yeah.
He doesn't refetch because you need to do that. Let's say, for example, Facebook, when you post a picture or you change a picture, you can just change it here in the front end. But maybe they will validate the picture. Maybe they will do something inside the backend. So you need to fetch the data again. Of course, you will say, but I have copy of the data. But you cannot say that your copy of the data is valid because you have like edited the data inside the backend. So you need to fetch again. At least fetch only that items that you have updated, instead of just updating the server and holding a copy and replace it. Maybe the server is doing something with the data. Maybe, for example, you post the data. Let's say you post a to-do, and the to-do contains like shit and bad words. The server will remove these bad words, but you will have like kind of a copy with the bad words. So when you post data or you edit data, remember to fetch that again. Of course, there's like a lot of policies and stuff. Sometimes it's not good to fetch everything. But
Even
it's
Facebook not good now.
what?
Even Facebook not good now.
Yeah,
It's
it's
actually
like
anything.
40,000
But it's actually
contact
anything.
documents.
Yeah, but just to get an idea about like holding like invalidate or old copy about data, that's not good. So it's like catch error. You should do something with the error here. You should show like you should set state error. So you should like API error or something. Delete to do item. It's the same thing. And remember, you are editing the state here.
not editing the state.
Yes. So what are you doing? What you are? Can you explain?
I'm taking the state, I put it inside a new variable, and then I'm saying splice, meaning deleting from.
Yeah, but new to-dos and to-dos inside the state are referencing the same variable. You are not cloning or doing something like that. You remember? We used to use the spread operator, or we use like concat or anything. So we used to clone this. We clone it. We have another variable. It's not the same data. This is just like new to-dos. New to-dos and to-dos are referencing the same variable. You remember? Referencing. This is a variable. This is a variable.
So I should have taken the to-dos.
I don't know. There's
Maybe
maybe you can do that. Maybe you can use concat. Maybe you can use new array. There's a lot of options. If you say like clone array JavaScript. There is slice. He's using slice now. There's like Stack Overflow question. You can use while loop, like looping through the array and getting all the item and stuff like that. You can use slice.
But he using map.
You can use map.
that one.
This one.
So I could use it like that.
You could use it like this.
Okay.
But it's up to you. I will not say you should use this way. Just every time I want to, because you will face this problem a lot, like cloning arrays. I go to Google, clone array JavaScript, and I will see someone else code. So just do that. Just do that. You will just read code, and of course you're not stealing code.
Yeah, but this is very famous advice. Google and look at the other code. It's okay to copy.
Yeah, it's
There's no
super okay.
copyright.
It's super okay. It's super okay. Okay. So yeah, so here you are editing the data. It's okay to edit data. It's not kind of something you should not do, but it's not the React way. React enforce kind of immutable stuff. If you want to change the data, just make copy of change it. Don't change the original data. This is just React philosophy. It's not really something you should not do forever. You will find me editing the data.
But the easiest fix would probably be line 52.
Yeah.
Spreader.
Yeah.
And I can continue doing it.
Yeah, and you need to do a set state again, because when you edit new to-dos, you need to replace the old to-dos.
Yeah, I'm setting state on line 59.
Yeah, this. Not just here, but also like another one.
I'm also doing the same on the other one.
No, I'm just here. Just talking about this function. Because if you are like removing something from the state,
Yeah.
you also need to do set state so you can remove the original item.
Yeah, but that's what I'm doing in then this set state.
New to-dos, effectively.
So
I thought that you are just doing one item here. Yeah.
So the only problem is line 52, which I should.
Yes, precisely. So he is like editing the data again. Yes. Component did mount. There's like new update in React. You remember component will mount and stuff? They will remove it in React.
Why?
They decided to remove it.
We talk about
What?
What is replace?
No. They said you don't need it. You can, because we didn't really need it. We've been using component did mount more than
Yeah.
component will mount.
Yeah, exactly.
So they decided to remove it. This is like a new, right? Just they did that like 1 week ago. So it's good to be updated. Just go and read. I showed you like React JS before.
So yeah.
React version 16.3, new lifecycle and context API. They've changed the lifecycle and the context. We didn't cover the context actually. Context API is something when you need to, for example, if you have like really like component in the top tree and you have a lot of components. Like for example, this component is running another component, and this component is running another component. This component is running another component. So there is like kind of big family. So if you want this component to pass something to the component really inside like or down like it's a leaf component, you need to pass props to this, and this should pass props to this, but that's too much. So the context API is kind of props, but you can travel, pass stuff inside like. you can skip all these components and pass it through.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yep.
You can look at that after.
You're kind of jumping what you
Precisely. So you will not pass props, you will pass context. And the component inside the tree, they will say, oh, someone is passing me context from the above. Okay? We can cover that, I don't know, but... So they removed some stuff. If you just go to React.js, it should be your like go-to place. Just go there, read documentation, read and read and read and read. That's the only way on how to kind of become a better React developer. Read, read, read. Read doc, read code, do stuff, try. Yeah.
Typing is very important.
Yeah, just type. Don't code, type. Okay, so fetch data. Fetching the data. So just fetching to-dos, then response JSON, then this.state to-dos. We update. When we will do the fetch, when the fetch will kind of resolve, we will update the state with the new to-dos. Okay? Otherwise, we catch the error, we say error cannot load data. But it's better to use the error object here. So because here, you can have a parameter called error. And you can use set error, you are just faking the message here. You should put like the message from the error. Because maybe there is no internet. Maybe the server is down. Maybe you cannot put data. Maybe, for example, you are allowed to post 15 data. But if you want to do more, you need to pay. So you need to say here, you need to upgrade your plan and pay $9 per month. So put descriptive message, don't just put random. Okay? Refresh the data, just validating the data, error null to this null, and set timeout. And we use the render, we use input. Input here should be the same as this one, using value and using onChange. Okay, and putting the stuff inside the state. Remember, passing onChange to change it, or to change the state, and passing the value again down the tree. We have a line, we have a div with button refresh. We have, if there is an error, we show this, conditional rendering. If there is a to-dos, we show this. If no to-dos and no error, we show no to-dos, sorry. Clear?
This two line, I don't know, this and.
Yeah.
You was using this bracket.
It doesn't matter because it's like and. So if you use brackets or you don't use them, it's just the same thing.
No, this is new for me.
Yeah. If no to-dos. So if to-dos is false, no to-dos will become true. We will continue to this. But if this is true, if there is to-dos, we already checked this here. So if there is to-dos, not to-dos will become what? False. So we don't need to evaluate all these lines because this is already false. We can skip. Clear or not? Clear?
Yeah. This one.
You got how to fetch, how to update and stuff like that?
No, I got it. I was just confused at the time what to do. That
Yeah, no.
get it.
Because it's like the first time doing really like, yeah, completely understand like. You can order food through the API. You can say to-dos and they will give you food. It's like hungry DK. Okay? Is it clear? Should I cover more things, less things? Do you have questions? Because remember, this is the last React session. I need to cover routing. I want to cover routing. But before I need to... Routing means like, for example, here you are displaying everything. Let's say you have two components. One called to-dos and another one called profile. If you go to /to-dos, you want to render to-dos. If you go to /profile, you want to render profile and not to-dos. So just like rendering stuff depending on the URL. This is routing. You did that in Node.js, but now we can do it in the front end. So because now we are rendering everything on the front end. So the server is, you say like /test/home/profile. The server will always send the same empty HTML file with a big JavaScript file. And the JavaScript file inside the client will render stuff. So we cannot do like routing inside the server because the server is empty, just sending JavaScript and HTML. But we can do rendering inside the client, routing inside the client. Okay, but please questions for this because this is like in your capstone project we'll be doing stuff like that. We'll be fetching data, displaying them, and we talked about mobile pay and stuff. Mobile pay just like when you want to send money, they just like send data to the server, send money from this to this, and when they display all the money that you have sent, it just like get requests and they list them like to dos. There is nothing like fancy. Same thing with your bank, same thing with every app, same thing with Facebook. They just fetch posts and they loop through the posts and display them. Same thing with messages and friends. They loop through friends, show them. This is like the web, fetching data and displaying it. So I guess with these skills you can build any application you want. Of course, it's difficult when the application become more complex and you need to think about a lot of stuff like Facebook, they have a lot of friends, a lot of like stuff. But this is the building blocks. It's like Lego.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone can put Lego together, but to build Legoland, it's difficult.
But you still start with one brick and another brick.
Precisely. It's about time. So we need like motivation. It's the same thing.
I mean, this is the big one. Yeah, this is the big one. If you go down, I didn't start with this big text. That came later on. And that's why I said I need to refactor it so I have two components. I know say one component and two components.
Yeah, precisely.
Because it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and then you say, okay, I need to refactor this part. I need to refactor this part.
Precisely.
Just there's kind of say when regarding when we write code in general, they said for example advice to kind of take the steps what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and kind of even kind of can say as text.
Yes.
Okay, go for it. Then you start write the code about it.
Precisely.
You start with rendering.
You should not jump and start coding because you don't know what you are coding.
Yeah.
And eventually you will face a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And even you don't know like any idea about what you are coding. So as I told you before, in my company, I get design.
Mm-hmm.
I get design from my company. It's like I don't know if, for example, like I was building this website. So I get design from my company about this design, and I start building the website. Okay, I putting the blocks and stuff, and I don't know. So
You start splitting it.
yes, splitting by blocks and stuff like that, building navigation bar. But before I discuss the design with my company, I know what I want to build. I have the final version in design, and I also have the backend API for fetching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a clear mindset about what I want to build.
Mm-hmm.
That's the final goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I start kind of like having the steps what I need to reach that goal. But if you don't have any goal,
Mm-hmm.
you will just start kind of swimming like randomly. You don't know what you want. No one knows what you want. So how you can achieve something that you don't know?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you will find yourself in nowhere, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. Have a clear mindset about what you want to build. Write down how you can achieve that,
Yeah.
and start coding.
Which you are first, you begin which you are coming down.
Exactly. This is software engineering
Yes.
because it's engineering.
Yeah.
It's applying ideas. It's solving problems. It's engineering. Coding is kind of easier, but when you reach the level of really like complex problems, really complex problems, you will find yourself doing real engineering, like mechanical engineering, like aeronautic, like building, like I don't know, like building a plane or something like that. You will be doing the same thing. You will be doing software for NASA, or software that model like particles, software that model like chemical interaction, software. So this is like the final goal, building software like this. And you will find yourself doing really like engineering work. How you can do that? It's by having clear goal, having clear spec on what you want to do, and you start like a little bit. You test, continue, you test, you continue, and 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, the software will become bigger and bigger. You will start just with the form, and it will become bigger and bigger every day, bigger and bigger. In 2 years, it will be like Facebook. Facebook was so simple. In 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it becomes more complex because they had a lot of developers and they start doing more tasks live. They imagine Facebook without live chat. Imagine Facebook where if someone sends you a message, you need to refresh. You cannot see the message if you don't refresh. That's Facebook. Now they are developing a lot of stuff, not because they are superstar developers, no, because they have enough resources, they have good plannings, they have good developers, of course.
Now they have a problem with how can I say, when you have show the picture, when you click to go for the next one, it doesn't show.
Yeah, there is bugs, of course.
Yeah.
But just remember, the front end is not also. It's not just about the developers. There's also, for example, I'm developing some stuff. If you go to Firefox, they are not working, but they are working in Chrome.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff, but they are solving these problems.
Yeah.
You can go to Facebook and say the picture is not fucking working, and they will try to solve it. So there's nothing fancy. It's just engineering.
Yeah.
But it's just like you reach that level by working a lot, and every product starts with really like random dummy. If you see like.
Just an advice. I don't know if you get an advice from you.
Yeah.
Because I think what we are doing is kind of. I find it more complex than what some videos I've come across.
Just a second, I will go to Facebook in 2005. 2005. Because you can. No.
Here you can see the.
This is Facebook in 2008. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I remember.
And then look at that,
Look.
Zuckerberg production. At the bottom.
What's this? This is like React. You can build this now. Like I can give you a task to build this.
Yeah.
You can build it in 2 hours.
This is like MySpace at that time.
Precisely, but you can see, and they kept like developing. Like
It was PHP.
it was PHP with HTML and CSS.
This one I also
What the fuck is this? This is Facebook.
No
I'm not saying they are bad, but you can see there is progress. They did something in the past, so that's what matters. It's not what you are now. It's in the future. What are you gonna do in the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years, next 4 years, next 5 years, next 6 years? So it doesn't matter where are you now. It's where are you going. That's the thing. This is Facebook. It's in the US and stuff. And 2008 they had enough money, a lot of money. So
Yeah, look at that. What's that? Forgot how much you owe from.
Yeah.
No, the piggy bank.
yeah,
Is that like help us, give us money?
yeah, something like that. Something like that. It's like an ad or something like that. But just to see like everyone like started with really dummy version. Like even Twitter and stuff. Twitter started developing their product with Ruby on Rails. You can do that in a few days. But it doesn't matter. What matters is where are you going and what you are doing to achieve that. That's what really matters. Clear? So don't be disappointed if you don't know anything.
Yeah, that's what I want
Because I don't know anything.
I know I'm coming down. I have this Linda account and the steps they are following is kind of like.
Just a second, I will be at the same time creating a new project while you are talking, while he is talking. Okay? Okay?
Okay.
Just, yeah.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if this idea to, because as if what we are doing is.
It's
kind of-
idea to what?
It's idea to like follow that path, because what I can see from what they are doing is looks kind of less complex compared to what I'm getting from Class. Kind of.
It's less complex?
Yes.
What do you mean? Like,
I think what we are doing is better off. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it's more
Well,
current. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. But because we are here, there is interaction. You can ask, and the content is also shifting toward what you need.
Yeah.
But in the video, they have like pre-made content, and they will start talking about. Now, for example, I was about to kind of in the last last class, I didn't know exactly what to cover because there was a lot of stuff. But because of your feedback, I should cover this because they were been asking about this a lot. So that's also really important. It's not because we are better or they are worse or they are better, because there is interaction, and by interaction we can become better programmers, developers, philosophers, anything. I guess because of that.
Because my thinking is that I want to start this React from scratch again. I want to know it properly. Yeah. I feel I should make, because I think this could be a foundation for better things to come. Yeah.
Nice.
And the first 1 week was okay by me.
Yeah.
The second week was where my fuse got blown.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It took me a lot of time to learn React.
Yeah, so what I did now, because my laptop has messed me up, I have to get another one again that is only for this course. Because that one has messed me up. I can not even use Git bash from now on again.
Yeah, but I don't think the problem is React. I think it is ES6.
ES6.
That's true. Yeah, AS6 is different, like destructuring and raw functions and binding and classes and yeah. And then, believe me, much worse things are coming in ES7, ES9, ES10.
That means
We still have no weight and
that means I should maybe grab ES6 properly first. That could be a step. Grab that one first, then.
For me, I'm learning about reading parts because I can ask the teacher. That's a very quick help for me. Because if I don't understand anything, just ask. Just like the guy over there, the founder, said, ask. I mean, everyone here is stupid. Even I'm stupid.
Even me.
Yeah, even me.
It's not about stupid.
There's nothing
stupid.
It's not when we say stupid. For example, the definition of stupid in my dictionary, it's not something not capable of doing something. It's someone.
That's not
Precisely. That's stupid. What it means, because technically we are the same.
I phrased as what his name Pankar told me. We are all learning.
Precisely.
Whenever you are, you're still in the step of learning. Wherever you are.
Let's just like take a really clear example. Let's say like like Android, or like Google, for example. They have really big data centers and servers, a lot of servers across the globe. For example, what they are using as an operating system, they are using Linux for their servers. Did they build Linux? No. Linux is an open source project built by some people, and now thousands of people. But Facebook with 50,000 engineers, Google with 50,000. I guess the number is 50,000. They have 50,000 engineers. 50. Can you remember? Can you just like? It's a lot of. It's a big number. 50,000. They didn't build an operating system. They are using another operating system. Just to get an idea about, they could be better and they could do a lot of stuff, but they are not really like super smart or anything. They found another solution provided by someone else. They're just doing it.
Yeah.
And the same thing for Android. They bought Android from 2 guys or 3 guys or something, because they found this is a really good thing. And why Facebook? Why engineers at Google they didn't do that? Not because they are smart or something, just because of the circumstances. So you, as a person with your experience, you've traveled a lot of countries, you lived in another country, you have another culture, you are coming here, you can kind of couple it with another culture. You can kind of come up with an idea that no one thought about it. Believe me. Because your way of thinking is unique. Your way of thinking is unique. As Syrian, as like Algerian, as anything.
As Nigerian.
As Nigerian, as anything. Your way of thinking is unique. So you can couple that with your kind of smartness, with your hard working, to achieve whatever you want.
Thank you.
You are welcome. This should be also for me, because I need to hard work a lot. I'm not doing almost anything.
Teaching us.
No, like I mean, like in also learning and stuff, because I'm not.
But let just I need your help with get the ignore. We need to help us how we can add files to it.
Yeah, git ignore is for example node modules. Everyone can install node modules from package.json. So why we should push node modules to production or push it to GitHub? It's really big file.
Yes.
It's like 2 gigabytes or something.
Yeah.
So we put stuff here that we want Gits to ignore. So if you for example want to say to Git, I don't want node modules in my repo. You just put it here. You don't want, for example, you want to ignore the SRC. You will say source.
You just add and search just like this.
You can do it here.
Right,
You can do it
with
like this. It doesn't matter.
by second.
Yeah. So
That's it.
it's source.
That's it.
So he will search for this repo source. If you want to ignore like source up, now you can see it's kind of ignored. The color, it's not white.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah,
just
we see-
close?
No, this is anyway. It's not good.
I can see it.
Yeah, but it's clear. It's clear. But just because
So if you want to, for example, ignore just like index.
okay.
If you want to ignore everything inside index.
Yeah, but in this case, is going to ignore it in the terminal.
No, it's in Git.
Yeah, it's
So when you do git add or something like that, Git will not see these files.
Yeah.
Add, commit something, push, Git will ignore these files.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
exist.
But
For
the see
GitHub.
function, I mean the main app.js will see function.
What?
The app.js will still run without.
It's still wrong.
I mean the main app.js will still run when you open it. You want
Yes,
to run-
it
yeah.
will see. But if you push the code and another developer will get the code, they will not see index.js.
But it will still run.
They will not see it at all.
I know, but it will still function.
No. Because like here, you have a local copy of index.js. But they will not have a local copy of index.js. You ignore it. Now it's working for you because you have a local copy. But if I will delete it and I will get the code from GitHub, I will not see it. And you cannot run because it's the entry point.
Yeah, it's for GitHub.
For Git.
Yeah.
And Git is GitHub, kind of.
Yeah.
Because you can use Bitbucket, you can use a lot of stuff. You can use your own server, you can use GitLab.
Exactly.
So this is,
It's all. Search did all.
yeah. So now we are not ignoring source, we are ignoring the files inside source.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say I want to ignore everything that start with N or that start with P.
Okay. Public. for public. And packages
So package.json will be ignored.
and public.
In index will be what?
I didn't have
Yeah, no worries. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can read about it more.
Did you just
Yeah,
type P
yeah,
as
yeah.
well?
Yeah,
Considering everything start with P.
yeah, kind of.
Directly.
Okay,
It's clear now.
Directly.
so I have this and this. Now we will learn about something. I guess you don't have any question now about React and stuff, or you have. If you have, you are more than welcome to ask.
No problem, let's proceed.
Okay, so now I will cover something called routing. So let's say, let's introduce the problem that we want to solve, because everything that we are doing now is trying to solve a problem. So you need to know the problem that you are solving before solving it. So let's say I have app, I have div here, or let's say I have, let's say, to do item or to do container. Okay, I need to self close it. Let's say I have to do item. Okay, I will build something called to do up. Okay, select to do up. Let's say profile. let's say about. Okay, so let's say touch or category source. I will just create source to dos. So I have a folder here called to dos. Let's say touch source slash to dos. I'll create two files, one called to do called to do's list. Okay, and another one called to do item. Let's say .js. I will have two files here. Let's search another file called source slash about. Okay.
You just make two files.
About.js. Okay. We'll copy the same thing here. We'll go to about. We'll have the same thing. Let's hope yes. We are recording. So here, let's say about page. H1 hack your future last session. Okay. We will import about here. About from about. We will import to do app from to do's folder to do's list. Or let's just do index. Just load like this. It's a folder. I'll create index.html here, .js, and it will by default. It will writing this. It's like writing this. It's the same thing because it's indexed by default. Okay, it's the same thing. So I will say.
That particular folder has 3 files in it.
What? Yes.
Yeah.
But when you say without anything, it will pick the index by default. Writing this, it's like writing this.
Okay.
The index file. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will change this. We will say just like to do up. Okay. And this is to do page. Just name it to do page. To do page. And you should name it to do up. Nice. We have about, we have up, with to do's and about, we have index. Everything works fine. So now we'll go to localhost. No, I need to run the server.
What are you using for the index
It's up. This is to do about. To do and about. And the to do, I'm just saying to do up. So I'm not using this to do item and list yet.
In the class,
Not yet. You can see like this. Cannot resolve up CSS. So probably here I'm using up CSS. No, in up. Also probably in about, as you said. No, I cannot resolve index.css in final source. Index.js. So I will create a new CSS file called index. Background 45 red. I don't know why I like red color. I don't know. That's weird. Doesn't matter. Always like saying background red, blood. Everyone, it will say like make attention like red. Okay, so we have to do up and hack your future. So these are kind of different, like let's say here what?
So it's lots of fun.
Yeah, it's really funny to program. Let's say here we have about page, remember?
Yeah.
And we have to-dos page. Let's say here we have border 1 pixel, dash it, let's say blue. No, blue. Let's make it 2 pixels. I'm a really good designer. I know, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. No, I'm really horrible at that. Even though I work as a front-end developer.
Just before you showed us the really fancy side from the company, and
Because
we're looking at this and
he's lying. He's a liar. He's a liar. This guy. He's a liar. No, because I got the design from a designer, and I will just he will give me a picture of the design, and I will make a design. I told you before. I will get the design and the API. This is really beautiful. Let's make. Padding. Let's say padding. Let's say padding. Let's say 2%. Margin 2%. Even more beautiful. Okay, so we have some CSS. So you can add whatever CSS you want here to build a beautiful website like mine. I know it's beautiful. Yellow with red and blue. Sounds really good.
now we know that we're better at
For sure. I'm not better than anyone when it's come to design. Everyone is better than me. Even someone who did never like
I suck at that. So I mean, how can people do it?
Yeah.
They can somehow think about their citizens.
It's science. It's a science. It's a science. It's a science. So now what I want to do, I want, for example, if you go to slash, I will render the or let's say this is the index. Let's say up. So here I will render hello world. If you hello world, let's say okay, and let's say you have like a type or not in ATAC, but I will put 2 links here. If you click one link, it will take you to slash to dos. And slash to dos, we want to display just the to do app. And if you go to slash about, I want to just display the about. How I can do that? Well, technically, there is really like kind of. If you go to this location, no, it's get URL from browser. See, googling stuff.
Another one would be like the to-do list.
Windows.location.hostname or .pathname. We want there is host and pathname. Hostname means like www.facebook.com and shit. Pathname means like slash Facebook slash app slash messenger slash thing, I don't know, slash user slash profile. So we need like pathname. So if we will do this here, host name, we got localhost because this is the hot name. Path name, it will give us. No, it's a bot because we didn't refresh. No, it's a bot. Okay. So what you can do is just you can do an if else. If path name equal about, render this, else render. We can do it. Render is about const equal slash about. Is to do's to do's. Okay, and here we can do this. We want to render hello world every time, so it doesn't make sense to include it inside the if else. It should be outside because every time it's rendered every time. You can see it's rendered every time. So we can do here. No. So we can do is about. And render about here. Is to do's. This is about, and we can make some links here, so we can put like slash about slash to do's. So beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. No, even more beautiful. It's a list with stuff. So you go to about, you go to do's, you go about, you go to do's, and you change. Is it clear? It's simple. But we don't do it like this in React. Because maybe you want to fetch, for example, if you want to render the about, you want to fetch some data. Or you want to, for example, if you do like slash about, slash to do's, it will not render to do's because you are rendering, you are just check, it should be like this. You need to check like for strict. And there is a lot of stuff. In React, there is like a package. Now we will start using React router. Can you just give me 3 minutes?
Yeah, because
yeah. So this is React router. It's a package we added to React, so we can add routing. What I mean by routing, So if we go to web, because we are using web, there is like native and stuff.
What do you know about native and web? I've seen that native, React Native.
Yeah, we are doing web. So you can, there is like a component. It's like to-dos and stuff. There is a component. You give it a path, and you give it a component to render. So we will do like this. We will do route. For example, I will give it here to-dos, and please render to-do up. So if the path will be to-dos, it will just render to-do up. So there's an if-else inside it. We don't need to do that every time we want to build like a website. And we will have a lot of conditions /profile / a lot of things. If we will use the approach of if and stuff, it will be too much. So we can just use this. After the break, we will be using React Router. But you get the idea of React Router? It's super simple.
Yeah.
Clear? I will stop recording.
And that's React Native and
Well, this is
What?
React Native.